and has 72 of these cushioned seats. Up to 170 people can ride in a car at a given time, including 4 people in wheelchairs.
The train is powered by overhead electrical lines and can reach top speeds of 65 miles an hour. The average will be about 30.
Our next question tonight, is the system fast?
In late May, we timed Julius Whittier and his 20-year-old car against a DART train. Well, that day, things didn't go so well for DART. A train stoplight got stuck. So the car won by more than 4 minutes.
My little horse is quicker.
Back then, the agency vowed it would be different the next time.
I like a rematch.
Well, we obliged and offered DART a second chance. I drove a company truck, left the Hampton station at 7:55 on a Tuesday morning. Channel 8 news producer Rick Thompson boarded the train, also at 7:55, and we both headed north for downtown.
Here we go.
I traveled with a photographer and a second camera mounted on the dash. And as the train headed out, it was clear this time things would not go so well for the car.
Okay, Illinois Avenue is the next.
We hit red lights, a long school zone, and at the freeway, a traffic jam.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and get off at 8th Street.
On the train, Rick enjoyed a stress-free ride and even read the morning paper. But then, what DART once called a fluke happened again. A stoplight refused to turn green.
I think between now and June 14th, we'll work out a lot of these problems.
This time, the problem was a train ahead of the one Rick was riding. Its doors kept opening and closing.
And it's just a compounding effect. Until we get the delayed train moving, the other trains are going to be held momentarily at red signals.
After a 6-minute delay, the train again pushed toward downtown. But we were having our own set of problems.
Any place to park?
And by the time we found a space near Ackerd and Maine, the race had tightened considerably. After paying $5.25 for parking, we hurried to the finish line, beating Rick, who showed up 84 seconds later.
I won.
I know. I understand.
But I didn't beat you by much, only a couple of
really?
We had trouble finding a parking place.
But the total time's still going to be bad.
Potential riders, though, must consider more than whether a car is simply faster than the train.
I just find it a much easier way to get around.
John De La Garza works at Nations Bank and plans to ride the train for a number of reasons. He can relax on the trip downtown. He won't have to pay for parking like we did. It can run anywhere from $25 a month to $70 or even more. And perhaps most importantly, he calls the train a clean alternative.
Rising fuel prices, rising ozone levels, you've got to do something to get cars off the street.
Well, if DART ever gets those stuck lights fixed, then a lot of us anxious drivers might be more inclined to leave the driving to DART.
We're entering downtown right now. So if you ride the train, where can you park?
DART has built nearly 1,400 parking spots, none of them in downtown, but rather all at 4 of the 14 stations that are opening now.
That's where DART bus routes converge. The question is, will it be enough?
4 million cars jam North Texas highways, all spewing emissions, creating a brown haze.
Most people who work downtown should use the train to get to work because it's good for pollution.
But how many commuters will leave their cars at home? DART is not predicting. In fact, many potential train passengers already ride a bus. But the North Central Texas Council of Governments estimates light rail will take 1,600 cars off the roads. That won't affect air quality right away, but DART is betting on the long-term impact as more people come to trust light rail enough to park and ride.
So what drove Dallas and its suburbs to start this whole thing? Coming up next, a look back at DART's past. Will the new light rail silence the critics?
The best top brand video is at Circuit City right now for only $229.97. Circuit City, you can't find a lower price. We guarantee it.
I've never really thought of it as just a job. To me, it's a duty. Because the minute you sit in that chair, there's an instant connection with all of our viewers. Stewart is standing by live at the scene. And they're looking to us to provide the information to help define those moments that shape their lives. It's a tremendous responsibility, but it's also a tremendous privilege. Mary, any idea?
Chip Moody and News 8, covering the most important time in your life, right now.
We're now now in Dallas's historic West End, the start of the downtown transit mall along Pacific.
This is all history in the making. Next question. What has been the cost?
We have 50,790 yes votes.
August 1983, the night voters gave birth to DART. Once only a vision, DART was born of a rocky marriage between Dallas and its suburbs. A child welcomed by supporters, shunned by foes like Dennis McQuistion.
We have a blank check that we're signing here that the DART board can use whenever and however they want to.
In 1983, the DART idea was hard to envision. A complex transportation system involving buses, trains, and high-occupancy vehicle lanes that link the larger cities in Dallas County and Plano. A system that would take years to develop. In fact, the children who went into kindergarten just days after DART was born are now college sophomores. Initial changes expanded the old Dallas transit system. More suburban service, talk of a light rail system. But 17 months after DART's creation, Carrollton and Farmers Branch voted on whether to remain in DART. To the delight of then DART chair Adeline Harrison, they stayed. But stresses on the marriage between Dallas and its suburbs over DART board control, stresses between DART and its member cities over financing and service delivery stayed as well. DART continued to develop, handy ride service expanded. A revised, smaller light rail network was approved, but building it would require long-term bonds and voter approval. In June 1988, voters said no long-term debt. Studies revealed people supported mass transit, just not going into long-term debt to build it. So a new transit plan was developed, but not before two cities, first Flower Mound, later Coppell, left the DART system in 1989.
It really took a load off my mind.
But with thousands of bus-dependent residents like Gladys Govan in their cities, voters in 5 other communities decided to stay. Light rail construction began in the early 90s. Even DART engineers were excited.
You wait so long for it, and all of a sudden it's here.
It's not over, and we're not going to wait, okay?
But the challenges continued. Minority business owners, already concerned about hiring and contracts, objected to plans to put light rail down a main South Dallas street, a plan affecting several businesses.
We need big businesses to come and invite him. You need to put police officers in the street for business to encourage him. That's what you need. A damn railroad is not going to help.
1, 2, 3.
Today, with light rail just hours from operation, DART officials hope the road ahead will be smooth.
No, you have no right to talk about chaining fences, no.
Certainly, it will not silence critics. Some homeowners still have concerns about construction, and some suburbs continue to talk about leaving DART. But the Dallas area rapid transit family remains intact. The parents, Dallas and its suburbs, and DART itself. Once a vision, now nearly 13 years old.
Along the banks of the Mississippi, St. Louis touts one of the nation's most successful new train lines. Metrolink opened 3 years ago. It's almost as many miles long as DART, but it cost about half as much. $450 million for them, $866 million for us.
They are very comparable systems, and everything they did correctly, DART did incorrectly.
For one, DART decided to dig 3.5 miles of expensive subway under Central Expressway. St. Louis didn't do that. Instead, it used what it already had.
A lot of the light rail alignment here was built on existing abandoned old right-of-way. In fact, 14 miles of it was built on existing right-of-way.
Also, St. Louis built with federal money. Instead, DART depends on the local sales tax, an extra penny on every dollar.
Pouring money into trains doesn't mean the buses go away. In fact, DART bus routes feed into major transit centers where riders can catch a train.
And if you're confused when you get there, a station agent at the transit center will give you information, directions, and even an escort to your car.
DART stresses safety and comfort, but what about aesthetics?
Coming up next, we'll show you some special touches designed to keep passengers smiling.